Buenos dias, familia. Israel Torres here with Caribbean American Passport News and, of course, Cat Village Studios 2. And we're here with Steve Kerestes, who's running for Ninth Circuit Judge.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. My name is Steve Kerestes, and like you said, I'm running for Ninth Circuit Judge. I am running based upon my nearly 20 years of experience as an attorney, and even more than that. But my 20 years of experience as an attorney, I've been both in the public sector and the private sector. I've worked as a prosecutor, I've worked as a criminal defense attorney, I've worked in the civil side of things as a plaintiff's lawyer on the civil side, on a defense attorney side on the civil side. So that 20 years of experience, 13 years of public sector experience, and then 7 years of private sector experience. And here I am offering that to the good folks of the Ninth Circuit.
And that's a good way to start the first question, honestly. I wanted to ask, in your campaign, you emphasized service as the foundation of your candidacy. What motivated you to pursue the role of circuit judge at this point in your career?
So thank you. That's a great question. So my life has been all about service. Like I said, 2 weeks after I turned 18, I joined the United States Marine Corps. I felt like service was something that I was called for. It was where my life took me at a very early age. Like I said, just 2 weeks after I turned 18, there I am at Parris Island, Marine Corps Depot, South Carolina, where everybody wants to be when they're 18. So there I was. And so that's just always the path my life has taken. And here I am just taking the next step to the next step in the service sector, and that is to offer my services as a circuit judge.
Speaking of the military, you served in the United States Marine Corps and the Florida Army National Guards. How has your military experience shaped your approach to leadership, fairness, and decision-making in your corps?
Yeah, the Marine Corps especially is very big on leadership. The Marine Corps, even when you're in boot camp, if you're an E1, you're a private, you're at the lowest possible rank when you start in the Marine Corps. And they already talk to you about leadership, even at that early age. They say to you, it's a little differently, and I hope it doesn't come across as a little too harsh for the audience, but they're saying, everybody else around you could fall, and you might be the only person left, and that means you're in charge.
Yeah.
So you have to be the one to, so you have to be ready to pick up the flag, so to speak, and take charge. And the way you take charge and the way the Marine Corps taught you to take charge is you're willing to get out front. You're willing to do the things that must be done. And it's not just about yelling at people. The perception might be that, oh, you're just, yelling at people and telling them what to do. But it really isn't that way. You're leading from the front. That's a big thing that they strive for. And so that's why I'm here, just trying to strive from the front, trying to lead and take that next step.
I was raised the same way. I'm kind of like they would say, like a military brat, without the brat attitude. But my dad was Army, retired Army. My uncles are Army. Most of the young generation, my cousins, shout out Javier, are Marine. But it's all Marine and Army. But I understand how you're actually put in a position where you have to take charge, even when you're not in charge, or be ready for it. My dad himself was kind of militant with me, and at first when I was younger, I was like, but now I appreciate it. So I use that in everyday living. So I'm pretty sure you use it with your courtroom experience as well. But let's talk about your legal experience and your qualifications. So my third question would be, your campaign highlights experience as a prosecutor, a defense attorney, a plaintiff's attorney, a civil defense attorney. All those. How does this diverse legal background prepare you to serve our circuit as our circuit judge?
The nice thing about someone like myself having this experience and offering it to the people of the Ninth Circuit is that since I do have all of this experience when litigants, when parties come before myself, if I'm elected to circuit judge, they will have the benefit of me having been on both sides of the courtroom in multiple different places. So they will benefit from that experience that I have.
No, and I being myself personally, I'm going to jump off these questions. I wanted to ask you, because to me it's interesting the way you had to play all sides of that field. How did it, on a personal note, what was harder for you, prosecuting or as a defense attorney?
They both have challenges for sure. As a plaintiff's attorney, it doesn't make any difference whether or not you're on the criminal plaintiff side or on the civil plaintiff side. You have the burden of proof.
Okay.
So that means you have to bring the case. You have to bring witnesses. You have to bring evidence. So no matter what your burden is, and it's different for civil and criminal, you have a burden that you have to meet. And if you don't meet that burden, then the defense doesn't have to do anything. They can just go home. So having a burden of proof is tough. It's certainly tougher. But being on the defense side is no cakewalk either. There's a lot more anxiety involved. You're holding someone's life if it's on the criminal side, and even if you're on the civil side, on the defense side, even still, it may not be, life so much, but still, it's very important to your client. Of course, they're being sued, and they feel the anxiety and stress over that. So they want to see confidence in you as an attorney, and you have to project that. So you have to put aside any anxiety you might have and project that confidence and show them that you're there for them, have their interests and
That's well said. I can't even go deeper into that. But number four, my fourth question would be: you've taken over 100 cases. Yes, over 100 cases. What lessons from those courtroom experiences will most influence your judicial philosophy as a circuit judge?
nice thing about all the experience that I have is that I have so much experience in the courtroom. I spent years of my life in the courtroom. What that means is that I've been there. I've been in the courtroom. I've been there day after day. So I know what it's like. I've seen people perform well in the courtroom. I've seen people perform not so well in the courtroom. And it's nice to be able to, it wasn't nice for them, of course. It may not have been nice for their client to see that if that was the way their attorney was handling it. But if you're the one watching it, you can learn from the experiences. And I certainly have. After all the attorneys that I've seen, all the judges that I've seen what works, what doesn't work. I've seen people perform well in the courtroom, people perform less than well in the courtroom. So all of that puts an imprint on you and helps you going forward.
No, I definitely understand that. I agree with that. You've worked in both the public and private sectors of law, like we spoke about before. Why do you believe this balance is so important for a circuit judge serving not only Orange County but Osceola as well?
It's really important to have private experience and not just public experience. And the reason for that is because so you have an idea of what everyone's going through. If you've only ever been on the public side, then you don't know what the folks who are coming in from the private sector. You don't have any of that experience. You don't know what they're going through, what it is that it takes to do what it is that they're doing. So when you have all of that experience, then you can relate more. You understand more of what they're going through, and you can take that into account better as a judge when you hold people responsibly, like you have to. You have a better idea of what it is that it takes to do it.
You emphasize qualities like patience, calm demeanor, which you obviously have, and impartiality. How do you plan to secure litigants feel heard and respected in your courtroom?
That's really important. Litigants don't always come in on their best days. Sometimes litigants come in, they're not having the best time. Sometimes it could be the worst experience of their whole entire life.
Yeah, for sure.
So sometimes the folks come in the courtroom, they're really at their lowest.
Yeah.
So they're not feeling great. They may not be behaving at their best. They need a little patience. They need a little
A
patience.
calm demeanor for sure, because it is nerve-wracking. I mean, I myself, in my past life, I had a very, very, very rough life. I had to fight for my life and prove my innocence. And the one thing that I could say right now that I would have definitely chose you in the courtroom with me, because you're calm and you're very patient, and that actually helps people when they're going through the nerve-wracking experience like that, where I got to prove my innocence. It wasn't me, you know what I'm saying? And then I got somebody else that, especially when it comes to, in the courtroom, appearance is a big thing. So I would have actually liked to have you as a judge. I've had some type of judges that I didn't really like the experience with them because a lot of people use the power for the wrong reasons. But from our conversation before this interview, I have a lot of respect for you for sure. I like the way you carry yourself. I feel like you would do great as a circuit judge for the Ninth Circuit.
Thanks.
The seventh question I want to ask you, my favorite number. Judicial races are nonpartisan by design, right?
Yes.
How do you plan to maintain independence and avoid political influence in your decision making, especially, everybody campaigning?
So the most important thing there is follow the rules.
Yeah.
Don't cross that line. The reason that it's supposed to be nonpartisan for judges especially is that we want litigants to come into the courtroom feeling as though they have a chance.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what their personal philosophies are. It doesn't matter what their politics are. They should come into the courtroom feeling as though this judge is going to listen to me and base the decision based upon the facts of this particular case, the evidence that's presented, and the law that applies in this case, and it won't be because of their personal bias, because of their political feelings or their philosophical feelings and those sorts of things. So for those reasons, it's good that we are not supposed to go out and spout our own personal views on this or that.
It makes a lot of sense. I do understand, especially the position you're in. You're law, you know. So, you said authority should be used to serve the community, like like we were speaking on. What does effective judicial leadership look like for Orange and Osceola County residents?
So leadership entails a lot. That's something that the Marine Corps taught me a lot of. When it comes to leadership, everything you do matters. All parents know this too. What you say matters. You can't just speak flippantly in front of your child.
Oh,
you have to.
As a parent, I agree.
Exactly. You have to watch what you say because you could say some off the cuff remark, and your child could pick that up and
run with it.
Yeah, and they could.
And my daughter is a whiz. She just turned 7 and she dropped her second book. She has 2 books out. She's an author. So I definitely got to watch out what I say around her because she might write a book about it.
Oh wow, yeah.
But you've said certain challenges, that are out there. The Ninth Judicial Circuit, that Osceola and Orange are currently facing. Those problems that you feel that you should step in and make a difference. How would you address them as a circuit judge?
So one of the biggest things that's happening, of course, in the Ninth Circuit, everyone knows, is people move here every day. There's more people. So
especially that area, especially our area. Yes, Orange and Osceola for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So what that means is we have growth. Growth can be great, and growth can have its downsides as well. And one of the things that growth runs into is that public sector can't keep up as fast as it would like to because it just doesn't work that way, and it just takes time. So you have more cases, you have more litigants, and judges have to especially be cognizant of the fact that they're living in a growing community, and they need to work all the much harder during those growing years until everything's properly funded and until there's as many judges in our circuit as there should be. But until that time, you just have to work harder and you have to pick up the slack and
fight that good war.
That's
Fight
right.
that good battle. The last question, I don't want to take up all your time because I know you're out there, with a lot more interviews. Hopefully people are staying tuned because this is my first time meeting him, but we had a good conversation before we stepped into this interview. And I myself am impressed. And I'm looking forward to seeing you actually have some success when it comes to the Ninth Circuit and get elected. But my last question, from construction work and part-time jobs to military service and courtroom leadership, your journey is diverse, right? How was your life experience? How has it shaped your perspective on justice and fairness when it comes to not just trials, but life in general?
So I do have quite the background. I've done jobs that I've planned. In the intercoastal, I planned for a little bit when I was in high school. So I've done a lot of different things. I've had a lot of different experiences, and what that means is I hope that will help me in the courtroom to connect with people, with everybody. That comes in. It doesn't make any difference who you are, what you do. Everyone is a human being. Everyone has to be treated fairly. Everyone has to be treated with certain dignity. And, I think those experiences help.
Oh, well, I feel like that was the best way to end this. I'm going to tell you from my experience and my lifetime experiences coming from Puerto Rico at a young age and ending up in Osceola County. Because, most Puerto Ricans end up in Kissimmee or Poinciana. Listen, that's how long it's been since I visited, but I'll be back. Poinciana and Kissimmee, that was like my first stomping grounds. And now I'm in Orange County. I'm in Pine Hills. But when it comes to me coming to the United States at first, besides California, it was definitely Osceola and Orange County, which is home to me, and home to my daughter. So it was actually an honor to sit here with you, Your Honor.
Well, thank you very much.
Have this conversation. I hope you actually win, you get elected. I wish you the best and success that you can have, or anybody could wish you. Stay blessed. Prayers up, and I'll see you when you get elected.
Thank you very much.
Have a blessed one.
Thank you.
Y'all stay tuned. Steve Kerestes, Ninth Circuit.